1960, Lincoln, like Trump, defeated a field of better connected rivals to capture the Republican nomination and win the general election. In fact, Lincoln got slightly over 39% of the vote. Both men came to office with little or no government experience. Lincoln had served only 4 terms in the Illinois legislature and 1 term in Congress. Trump had spent 0 time in government. Trump, on the other hand, had far more executive experience. Before his presidency, Lincoln ran a 2-man law firm with a reputation for disorganization. He often stored important papers in his hat, and in the corner of his Springfield, Illinois office sat a stack of documents labeled, quote, "When you can't find it anywhere else, look in this," unquote. Both men experienced harsh reactions to their elections. In 1860, secessionists wore ribbons with slogans such as "Resistance to Lincoln and Obedience to God." Sound familiar? Lincoln governed during the most divided era in our nation's history. Trump is governing in perhaps the most acrimonious period since then. Both presidencies have been times of extreme media partisanship. In Lincoln's day, newspapers were closely aligned with the Democrat and Republican parties, and it showed in their reporting. In 1863, for example, after the Gettysburg Address, the Democratic Chicago Times proclaimed that, quote, "The cheek of every American must tingle with shame as he reads the silly, flat, dishwatery utterances of Lincoln's speech." The Springfield Republican in Massachusetts called it a perfect gem, deep in feeling, compact in thought and expression. Lincoln, like Trump, was furiously attacked in the media. Newspapers called him a demon, a buffoon, a miserable failure, a disgrace to the nation. Quote, "The man who votes for Lincoln now is a traitor," one Wisconsin paper asserted when he ran for re-election in 1864. You can imagine what Southern newspapers wrote. Trump returns the media's fire almost daily, but his assaults have been a war of words. Lincoln's counterattacks could be more aggressive. His administration believes some opposition newspapers fueled treason, so what did he do? During the Civil War, federal authorities sometimes harassed or closed anti-war newspapers and even arrested editors. Lincoln did not offer the suppressions, but he rarely objected. Lincoln, like Trump, developed ingenious and end runs around the press to communicate directly with the people. He managed to get letters and speeches widely published, so voters would know his thoughts and his words. Trump has done the same with rallies, 90-minute press conferences, and his tweets. The Washington political establishment viewed Lincoln, like Trump, with wariness and outright hostility. He was considered a rube from the prairies, clearly out of his depth. Trump is somewhat of a street fighter. His instinct when hit is to hit back twice as hard. In his younger days, Lincoln also was a scrapper. He once defended a colleague from an unruly audience by threatening to break heads with a stuffed picture. On another occasion, he came close to dueling a political rival with broad swords. With age, he became more conciliatory. As president, he sometimes pulled off by writing blistering letters and then filing them away without mailing them. No tweeting for Lincoln. Lincoln, of course, was a wartime president. Trump and his allies considered themselves engaged in a kind of soft war on at least 2 fronts. First, against the swamp, an entrenched Washington elite, and second, against a hard-left insurgency that aims to radically transform the country. In both cases, Trump supporters believe he's defending the nation's founding principle. Amen. His opponents strenuously disagree. That perhaps is the area of comparison with Lincoln that matters most. Lincoln was fiercely Lincoln, especially those in the Declaration of Independence, his favorite founding document, that we are all created equal, that we all have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. He knew that as long as we stand on in the end, Lincoln was judged and is judged as a great president. But there's more, as John Cripp points out. Re-election campaign in 1864. Now, most Americans remember Lincoln as a hero, perhaps our greatest president. But when he stood for re-election, many in the media and political class viewed him as a loser. The odds weighed heavily against him. After all, no president had won a second term since Andrew Jackson in 1832. That was the least of Lincoln's problems. The Civil War had dragged on for 3 years, and forensic casualties piled up, and no one in sight. the North. Critics called Lincoln a buffoon, a miserable failure, an insignificant man. Experts of the day said he showed very weak and foolish traits of character. A few desperate Republicans cast about for other candidates. They dreamt of running General Ulysses S. Grant, or perhaps Secretary of Treasury Salmon Chase. Just about anybody but Lincoln would do. Disgruntled members of the GOP gathered in Cleveland to protest the quote, imbecile and vacillating policy of the Clinton administration in the conduct of the war. So they nominated John C. Fremont to run against their own courageous president. Meanwhile, Republicans loyal to Lincoln gathered in Baltimore to nominate. Their platform called for a constitutional amendment prohibiting slavery. But any cause for celebration was dampened by news of 7,000 Union casualties in one day. Only a few days earlier, at the Battle of Cold Harbor. While Lincoln reminded supporters that it was best not to swap horses when crossing streams, Northern pessimism deepened. And to conclude, Lincoln was losing in 1864. He was running against General McClellan, the general he had fired, the general from New Jersey. And he was expected to lose until they moved into the summer, and summer moved into early fall, in the Battle of Atlanta led by General Sherman, where Atlanta was burned to the ground and the march through Georgia to the ocean. That is what is said to have saved the Lincoln presidency. And then suddenly, Republicans began to back him and support him for president. Lincoln was still attacked, even after his re-election. Not until after his assassination, with the Lincoln we know today, he admired and promoted as he is. I want to show you a short clip, a short video of our president, President Trump, at Mount Rushmore. And I want to remind you of where he stands and his principles and his belief system. They're identical to Lincoln. They're identical to Reagan's. They're identical to the Founding Fathers. And this is one of the reasons he is so hated by the same Democrats, by the same media, by the same never Lincolners, except they're never Trumpers, that exist in the Republican Party. Let's take a look. Go.
I am here as your president to proclaim before the country and before the world, this monument will never be desecrated. Our founders launched not only a revolution in government, but a revolution in the pursuit of justice, equality, liberty, and prosperity. No nation has done more to advance the human condition than the United States of America. Here tonight, before the eyes of our forefathers, we will proclaim the ideals of the Declaration of Independence, as we did 244 years ago. We will not be tyrannized, we will not be demeaned, and we will not be intimidated. No heaven and earth can match the overwhelming strength, skill, and might of the American Armed Forces. You are the fearless sentinels who stand and watch over all we cherish and everything we hold sacred. We support the courageous men and women of law enforcement. We will never abolish our police or our great Second Amendment, which gives us the right to keep and bear arms. We believe that our children should be taught to love our history and respect our great American flag. We stand tall, we stand proud, and we only kneel to Almighty God. In the face of lies meant to divide us, we will show that the story